Good morning, everybody. I'm Myra Ansari here for Wave. Now, we are almost close to 10 o'clock here on your Tuesday morning. I hope that you are having a good morning so far. So we are going live to Simmons College this morning, where Simmons College and the University of Kentucky, they're making a really big announcement about a new partnership that is going to be happening between both the UK and Simmons College. So we are expecting to hear from Simmons College officials and officials from the University of Kentucky, waiting to hear what they have to say about this announcement. They're getting ready to start here shortly. So wanted to bring this to you live this morning. And according to their press release, they said today, knowledge is king, and this pairing is historic. Two premier Kentucky institutions are going to gather to announce a powerful pairing and showcase a real unity in the Kentucky college community. So this is what we are bringing to you live this morning, waiting for it to get started. So if you're joining us, good morning. I hope that you are having a good day so far. Tell us why you're sticking around for this announcement, what you hope to gain from it, what you hope to learn from it. We are waiting to see what the partnership is about. Good morning to all of you here. And they're supposed to start at 10 o'clock, so I'm expecting things to start here fairly quickly. Moni, thank you for saying hello this morning. Good morning to you. We're seeing some folks walk into the room again.
If you could give us just a couple more minutes, we're waiting on another speaker to arrive. And as soon as he arrives and is situated, he's on the campus, but has to get to this building. So we'll wait for him to come, and then we'll be ready to start.
All right, so they're running just a few minutes behind, so I appreciate you all staying with me here and waiting for this press conference to start. Again, this is Simmons College and the University of Kentucky. They are announcing a new partnership between the two institutions, so we're going to be learning about that. Simmons College is the only HBCU here in our area, and UK is the largest university in the state. So we will see what the announcement is going to be about.
I'd like to say welcome to each and every one who is here today. We're excited that you're here. I call this a day of firsts. For some of you, it's your first time here at the Simmons campus, and we want you to just feel welcome. We're glad that you're here to be a part of this historic day. This is also the first month of the year, January, where we have just celebrated not only the birth date of the late Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but we just celebrate on January the 15th also the 18th anniversary of the 13th president, Dr. Kevin Cosby, celebrating 18 years. And great leadership, and under his administration, there are many firsts that have occurred for the history of Simmons. For example, the school became accredited, and that was a first. And then also the reacquisition of this campus, which is the first among HBCUs and probably any college in America that lost its campus and is able to return back to its original campus. And then the first of various degree programs that we are offering, they developed under his administration here. And so we're excited for that. But then we're here today, the first day of classes for the spring semester, and our students are coming in to various classes, and some of them are coming for the first time. For our enrollment in the spring semester is nearly 70 new students just here in the spring semester. And so today, another first is that we get to enjoy the formalization of a partnership between Simmons College of Kentucky and the University of Kentucky. And we're so excited for today, and we're glad you're here again. At this time, I want to bring up the 13th president of Simmons, Dr. Kevin Cosby.
Welcome to historic Simmons College of Kentucky, and it's my colleague, and no one could have a better colleague and personal friend like Dr. Frank Smith. And I want to thank him for the energy and brilliance that he brings to this institution. And I would like to welcome you here to this historic event. And one of the reasons why we are here is because Black history has not been buried under a bushel, that we have had brilliant scholars who have unearthed our history. And the importance of history is it gives you inspiration, because if they did it under extreme circumstances, like the pictures that you see on these walls are pictures of people who were born enslaved. We are in Stewart Hall. Stewart was born enslaved. Charles Parrish Sr. was born a slave in 1863 under the shadow of the University of Kentucky in Fayette County. But yet, they rose above it to become educated. If they could do what they did, peeping through a crack, how much more can we do with an open door? And the reason we know they were peeping through a crack is because one of America's greatest historians unearthed our history, unearthed the history of Black Louisville and Black Kentucky. And he is not simply a scholar, but he's an activist scholar. He is a change agent. And that is Dr. George Wright, who I would ask to come at this time, who will have remarks. Dr. Wright.
Good morning. It is indeed a privilege to be here. As Dr. Cosby was just mentioning, led by a number of very visionary leaders. If you think about slavery ending in 1865, well, immediately the General Association of Kentucky Baptists started, led by Henry Adams, a pastor here in Louisville. They formed an organization, and they planned to start a college. Not surprisingly, to raise the money, to acquire the land, to start the program, and all of that took a number of years. But in November 1879, they opened the doors to Kentucky Normal and Theological Institution with the goal of training ministers, teachers, nurses, and they said, above all, intellectuals to lead the race. That they thought that was very important. Another step they took was to travel to Frankfurt to work with legislators, white politicians, and they asked for the exclusive right to be the only, back then, Negro institution in Kentucky to offer both law and medical training. At that time, there was a law school for blacks, a medical school for blacks here in Louisville. And as a result of legislation, they merged with Kentucky Normal and Theological Institution, increasing the size of the school, increasing the stature of the schools. These visionary leaders, then realizing their larger program and its impact, changed their name from Kentucky Normal and Theological to State University. So they become the institution that has the name State University first. As a history professor, I find it very interesting that we're now here with two universities. It would be some 20 years later that the name State University would be passed to the University of Kentucky. I find it so fascinating that back over there in the wall, there's a degree that says Simmons College, and then in parentheses, State University. So now the State University is in Lexington at the University of Kentucky, but make no mistake about it, the first state university in Kentucky was right here. When considering the historical importance and excellence of Simmons, of Kentucky Normal, of State University's programs, it's not surprising that those of us at the University of Kentucky, when Dr. Cosby approached us about making this relationship, that we readily agreed to do so. We, like Dr. Cosby, see the importance of opening new avenues of educational and professional opportunities to students. Also, as a research professor, I see the possibilities, since there are Simmons faculty and students, University of Kentucky faculty and students already interested on slavery in Kentucky, on the horse racing industry in Kentucky, on bourbon in Kentucky, and the civil rights movement in Kentucky, collaborating and working together. I'm sure many of you know that in 1964, Dr. Martin Luther King spent a lot of time in Kentucky. He had a brother who was a pastor of a church here in Louisville, and Louisville and Lexington blacks worked together to plan a march on Frankfurt and other civil rights activities. So I think it's important today that Louisville and Lexington is coming together again. As was also mentioned, I think it's important that this signing of the MOU is occurring against the backdrop of MLK Day. Martin Luther King, from the moment he was on the national stage, stressed the value of an education at all levels, but especially at the college level. I truly believe, as a result of what we're doing today, there is some young person, probably should say plural, who will start at Simmons and then be affiliated with the University of Kentucky, and he and she and others will make contributions that will benefit society, just like Dr. King said would happen. As I conclude, I want to mention yet another connection that has long existed between UK and Simmons. Starting in the 1970s, a colleague of mine, Terry Birdwhistle, and I interviewed the descendants of William H. Stewart, his daughter Carolyn Stewart Blanton. We interviewed Dr. Charles H. Parrish. We interviewed some other people who were Simmons, and some of them gave us some material, some artifacts that are now in the University of Kentucky. But we did some 20, 30 interviews with people affiliated with Simmons. I believe as a result of this MOU, we will continue, we will even enhance the number of interviews. You can go to UK right now and just plug in Simmons College oral interviews and learn a great deal about Simmons. Okay, so that is important. President Cosby, Provost DePaula, I really want to thank you all for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this whole event. This is so important. If you've been around me long, you know that I am a member of a Baptist church, and I grew up, one of my minister taught me a scripture that is one of my favorites that is apt for today. It's about sowing and reaping, and Dr. Cosby is a minister, so I better say the right one. John 4th chapter, 37, 38 verses. 'Tis true that some sow and others reap. I sent you to reap where you did not sow. Others did the work and you received the harvest. He mentioned these people coming out of slavery who planted seeds that we, the University of Kentucky and Simmons, must plant some seeds that will be trees. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Wright, and we sincerely appreciate the fine way in which you have worked with Simmons to help facilitate the coming about of this memorandum of understanding and this relationship with the University of Kentucky. At this time, we would like to introduce the provost of University of Kentucky, Dr. Robert DePaula.
Well, thank you, and thank you, President Cosby, and thank you, Dr. Wright, for those words. And to talk a little bit about us going forward in terms of, as Dr. Wright pointed out, as the seeds together. I just want to first say good morning, and in behalf of the University of Kentucky, it is really just an unbelievable pleasure to be here. And each of us really does understand the significance of today. And I want to take a moment to express my own gratitude for and admiration for this absolutely momentous occasion. The University of Kentucky and Simmons College were founded on very similar noble principles: to educate, inspire, and empower new generations of scholars, scientists, and citizens. For some 150 years, these two institutions have shaped this Commonwealth and its people. They have introduced hope to communities and to families, and they have propelled leaders, researchers, and most importantly, change makers into lives of meaning and purpose. And today, we have an opportunity to turn a page. We formally recognize there is a great deal more we can do together. We establish this opportunity as one hope and potential through the University of Kentucky's College of Arts and Sciences, College of Education, and the J. David Rosenberg College of Law. To begin with, students and faculty at both institutions will benefit from an exchange of ideas and experiences that will help us advance Kentucky. The magnitude of this partnership and its potential to make change is really unprecedented. But we know there is tremendous promise in the idea of working together, guided by our shared commitment to students and service. I like to say that a true transdisciplinary approach is one in which we sit down together early with a shared vision to best make change. And the collaborative, transdisciplinary, interconnected nature of this agreement stands at the core of how we'll move forward together to achieve this vision. We look forward to where the collective efforts will take us, and we seek to advance our state together. We thank you for all you do to care for the Commonwealth, and thank you again for being here today. Thank you.
Thank you, and we certainly appreciate you, Provost DiPaolo, for those words, and we give tribute also to President Eli Capilouto, who is unable to be with us today, but certainly is in favor and in great support of this work. I want to ask just for a moment if all of the team of U of K is here. Would you just kindly stand that we might acknowledge you and greet you at this time? University of Kentucky. I'd like to ask the administrators and the staff and the faculty of Simmons Nation to stand that we might acknowledge your presence here today. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Two areas of the Memorandum of Understanding that stand out are two concentrations. One is in the area of teacher education preparation, and the other is pre-law and constitutional studies. At this time, we would like to hear special remarks first from our chieftain who is developing the teacher education program here at Simmons, Dr. Lucian Yates, if he would come at this time to give greetings. And following Dr. Yates, we will ask J. Michael Brown, Esquire, if he will come and talk about our pre-law and constitutional studies program that's under development. Thank you. Dr. Yates.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. I'm extremely happy to be here today as we celebrate and consummate the relationship between the University of Kentucky and Simmons College of Kentucky. I am honored to be a part of this grand announcement, and thanks President Cosby, Provost DiPaolo, Dr. Wright, and others. This partnership has so many potentials and promises for our current students at Simmons and for the University of Kentucky, and for that matter, for the entire state of Kentucky. Yesterday, we celebrated the 94th birthday of the king of the civil rights movement, Dr. MLK Jr. Also yesterday, we celebrate the 18th anniversary of our president, Dr. Cosby. Today has been declared by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation as a day of racial healing. And today, we consummate this relationship between Kentucky's flagship institution, the University of Kentucky, and Kentucky's first HBCU, Simmons College of Kentucky. This framework that will be signed here in a bit offers the opportunity to build new relationships, to conduct conversations and research to build a state, a community, and institutions that we all will be proud of. This partnership will bring people together to allow us to build trusting relationship that bridges divides that have kept us separated far too long. As the Simmons person tasked with developing a certified teacher education program, we will be asking our partners to help us build a qualified cadre of certified teachers for the Commonwealth. We will be limited by our own thinking, and if we are open to breaking down artificial structural barriers, we can move closer to a spiritual awakening that will benefit our cities, our state, and our nation. I look forward with bated breath and anticipation to exploring new ways of thinking that will yield solutions for our most vexing problems. Thank you very much, and thank you so much.
Mr. Provost, Mr. President, I'm Michael Brown. I have 6 months ago joined Simmons College of Kentucky to follow the visionary and the aspirational intent of helping Simmons, I like to call it, go back to the future. You know, I didn't know much about Simmons, even though I lived in Louisville a long time. I've been practicing law over 4 decades, held a lot of governmental positions, and really was almost ashamed of the ignorance I had. And as I started talking to President Cosby and learning about what was here, it made me think about how I wanted to devote the last part of my career. What distinguishes this country from all other countries on earth is what we seek to be: a democratic republic, the most of the time peaceful transition of power, the ability of individuals, no matter what their status, background, or education, to participate in government and in society and make change. Law has been one of the principal vehicles for that. Teaching law, studying law is a unique paradigm. It has a unique paradigm to it. When I went to UK and met with you and talked to the dean of the law school, and you know, what makes it so different? Well, the difference is in most areas, when you go and take an educational course, you can check a box, A, B, C, D. You can give an answer, black or white, and you'll get credit for it, because it's objective. Law is different. Legal education involves a degree of critical thinking done under time pressure. That's how the system is, and that's how we have to have our courses work. So up until 1930, the law school for African Americans in Kentucky was here. Then we had this lapse. So now we're going back to the future, not to create a law school. We have 3 fine law schools, headed by Rosenberg, and then my alma mater, University of Louisville, and Simon P. Chase in Northern Kentucky. But none of them in and of themselves can do the job that's necessary, I think, to expose the next generation of folks, some of whom really doubt in their heart, does the justice system really work? Does government really work? So the pre-law and the constitutional studies program here is designed at creating critical thinkers, preparing people to go into an environment which may be foreign to them, even coming out of and doing very well in undergraduate school and succeeding. And I was thrilled to go to a meeting at UK and find that they held those same desires. They want that to happen, because all of us here are passing through. All of us who've held positions and titles, you know, they're temporary. We'll leave and someone will come behind us. And how important and how far this state and this nation goes depends on the minds and the preparation of those and the trust in our system of those coming behind us. This collaboration with UK says to this Commonwealth that this is an initiative that we are willing, ready, and able to do. I applaud the University of Kentucky for entering into this agreement, and I look forward to helping to develop the program here at Simmons.
Thank you. And we are glad for these 2 comments that speak volumes and are indicators of even more that we will do together. Well, At this time, we will ask our fearless leaders here if they will look to the second sheet of the documents and give your handwritten signature as we sign together this memorandum of understanding. Just sign over. So, okay. Okay, let's switch copies. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you both, and you each have original signatures to take back to the institution. And we're glad for this day. This time, we would like to open the floor for any questions from our media, if you have any. As soon as they are fully developed, we do want to take our time to work collaboratively between both institutions. The programs that have been mentioned today in particular will have some distinctive values associated with them and outcomes. And yet we want to make sure that we dialogue with other scholars in the formation of these innovative approaches, whether it's teacher education or pre-law and constitutional studies. And so this starts the track, and we'll work according to what schedule. Of course, there are accreditation procedures that must happen, licensing, all of that, working with the faculty of each institution. So it's a process. Can't give an exact end date on the start, but we will be working assertively and aggressively to make it happen as soon as possible. Yes. 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 Okay.
In teacher education, for instance, it's highly regulated in the state and the nation. There are certain hoops that we have to jump through, and it's time consuming. The state says we could have a teacher education program within 2 to 3 years. We've been working on it for a while, but we hope to have it up and running before 2 to 3 years.
Do you have a comment?
As far as the pre-law, I started back in August looking toward next fall. And really what we will do is go through, and we started that process already, go through our academic catalog and seek to what I would call bundle some of the courses that are already in place, and then work with those instructors to design the courses and the testing to fit the type of academic mode that I described as far as the law process. We're not here to teach law. We're here to teach thinking about law.
I would also like to add that one of the things we want to do with this collaborative relationship is to have where Simmons students, UK students, and faculty interact when various programs occur. For an example, just like we've had MLK Day, Black History Month is coming up, Women's History Month, and so forth. We will have speakers, they will have speakers. All of the programs like that on our campus, we're going to invite Simmons students and faculty to attend. And I think there are other possibilities. As I mentioned, if you look a lot of times when you're doing research in certain areas, you always want to expand and see if there are other people who may bring something to the table beside those that you already know. And so given some of the work that we're interested in our center, the Commonwealth Institute for Black Studies clearly overlaps with some of the things that they're very interested in doing here. So those type of things that don't require accreditation is something that we can do almost immediately.
Thank you. Any other questions?
So you've
May I respond to that? I would say instead of UK helping Simmons build a program, I would say that Simmons and UK collaboratively is building a program. Absolutely. Mhm.
Any other questions?
Can you just say what the memorandum of understanding says generally? What is it that these scholars agree to?
If either of you want to make any comment?
I cannot, we talked about Martin Luther King. His first book that he wrote in 1957 about the 381-day Montgomery bus boycott. If you go to the last 2 pages where he summarizes why the Montgomery bus boycott was important, he says this, and I quote, Dr. King said that Blacks experience economic deprivation, social isolation, and emotional frustration. Many of the homicides, and I would say most of them, that you encounter in the Black community is a derivative of emotional frustration because of social isolation. The greatest benefit that institutions like Simmons College has is it provides Black people in segregated, red-lined communities experiencing social isolation. It moves them from social isolation to social capital, which is to say, they get to meet people. This is the first time that the Big Blue Nation has been in a community like this for purposes of academic enrichment. Right across the street from us is College Court. It was named College Court because it was built across the street from the college. Down the street on 7th Street is the court. This is College Court, and that name speaks of the 2 options that you have. Walk across the street and go to college. You won't have to go down the street to go into court. So I don't want us to minimize how important it is just for kids who are socially isolated, segregated, to have the opportunity to engage both Simmons and UK. Now, in terms of specific programs, our ultimate goal is, which we're working towards, is an articulation agreement, so that students at Simmons, having completed courses here or maybe an associate's degree here, can then transition to the University of Kentucky to take advantage of degree opportunities that Simmons College does not provide. What we must provide Black kids in poor neighborhoods are paths to success. And if we can do that, we will be fulfilling the dream of Martin Luther King.
I just want to add to what President Cosby just said, and that is that all the programs we're talking about, we would be doing together. And the other point Dr. Wright mentioned as well is that there are opportunities that we've talked about and some examples within the MOU where we already start to go back and forth, where we have the University of Kentucky faculty and students come up here on campus, and we have an opportunity for students from Simmons to come on campus to the University of Kentucky for various programs. We have a number of educational programs. One example is we call a program where it's called Lawyer for the Day. It gives a real feeling for a student in terms of what that career would be like to the points made about critical thinking and so forth. So I think there are going to be a number of opportunities, even as we work toward programs, to have an interchange where we come here, they come there, and we're discussing opportunities along the way. And we really look forward to doing this together.
All right. Well, thank you for being here today, and we will dismiss shortly, but I'm sure if there are any other questions of our leaders or those who have spoken to the media, we'll certainly, well, yes, I'm sorry, from Callaway. Yes, yes.
So really, this is a return to the greatness that Simmons once had. Being one of the very few HBCUs in the nation that had a law school.
Yes.
So this is nothing new. This is a return to something that had already existed
Yes.
on the campus.
Yes. And Mr. Brown made great allusion to that in his comments, that these steps that we're taking in the pre-law concept, who knows what is next for what could be a full return to another law school here at Simmons. But right now we are looking at ways, as Dr. Cosby has said, to provide pathways, bridges, connections for our students so that they can become greater scholars and be of resource not only to the Commonwealth of Kentucky, but also to the nation and the world. Thank you for your time this morning, and we'll consider ourselves dismissed.
All right, thank you so much for staying with me here on this stream that we brought you about a partnership that's happening between Simmons College and the University of Kentucky. So we will be putting a story together on this for you and bring it to you later here on Wave News. I hope you have a wonderful day.